I'm Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel. So today's video is on the E1 FilaPartner filament dryer from the ChiTu Systems. This particular dryer, we're going to go through some of its features. We're going to do a quick unboxing of this, and we're going to talk about some of the features in comparison to some of the other heater filament dryers that I've shown on this channel over the last few months, and how it compares to them, and what sort of features that I would say would be notable in this review. Now, as I said in my previous video from another brand, we do have a prize giveaway of 2 kilos of filament to give away from ChiTu Systems, and this is the video where you will see a logo, which is going to be the ChiTu Systems logo, fly across the screen. And at that moment, I want you to leave the time scale in the comment section, and also make sure to like this video and subscribe, because these are the 3 features that we will be looking at when we put you into the prize wheel. And the winner will receive 2 kilos from ChiTu Systems, and I'm sure that it will be of your choice of what type of filaments you're going to be after. It could also be that they will give you a random selection, but either way, you will win 2 kilos of filament by doing those simple tasks. I'll leave a comment section in the description about how you're going to do that, just in case anyone wants to ask any questions. But this is going to be a monthly thing, and it will happen in random videos, so you're going to need to keep on watching. So with this filament dryer, we're going to go into the unboxing. We're going to talk about some of its features. We're going to talk about the temperature range. We'll do some tests on it, and we'll see whether the prints have improved from this. But any sort of filament dryer, it doesn't matter what it is going to do a good job to help you get some better prints. So we're going to focus solely around the actual machine, its capabilities and its features. So stay with us in this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And this is the ChiTu Systems FilaPartner E1 stackable filament dryer. Stay with us.
So here we have the E1 FilaPartner from ChiTu Systems filament dryer. Now, I've been eagerly awaiting for this on my channel, and I've heard some great things about it. So the first thing out of the box is your standard instructions manual. Now, I don't believe that this is going to be a very difficult build, and I probably would only refer to this for the using of the touchscreen and any settings that I am not 100% sure of. It basically gives you what sort of contents you're going to receive in the box, and also some helpful guides in how to change the settings on screen and what the actual modular boxes are used for. So if we remove the foam, it reveals the 2 modular boxes which are supplied, and now these are independent of the heater itself, and this gives you a number of different options. There is the ability to purchase more modular boxes, as this also acts as a storage box. So let's remove this plastic covering, and then what we'll do is we'll take a look over the box and open the latch, and inside it will reveal the power cable for your country. So taking a look at the bottom of the unit, you will notice these 2 metal plates. These are to cover these air vent points, and this is so that you can put it into storage mode, but we'll cover that a bit later on in the video. The other useful item is the humidity strips, and these are ideal for when you have them in storage. You also have these rubber grommets at the top, and this is where you can put the PTFE tubes in, and also seal them if it's not being in use, which is a great idea. So let's take a look at the second box as well. So removing the second unit, this package comes with 2 units in total, but you can order additional units from their website, as they do have the ability to store the filaments once dried just by simply moving the metal covers into the storage location. It's a great idea, and they are also stackable. So now let's take at the bottom part, which is the main heater itself. So now the main heater itself is out. As you can see, there are 4 heater outlet points, 2 at the front and 2 at the rear. And as you can see with the magnetic plates on the units itself in the correct position, there are 4 locating pins on the heater as well. To simply join them together as shown on screen, the heat will blow into the modular box, which I think is a very cool idea. And now to the front of the unit, where you will find this 3.5-inch touchscreen which can be moved up and down. Underneath the unit you have the power ratings and quite a large air vent for airflow. There's also some connection ports on the side of the unit which I don't know what are used for. Also the power port and the on and off switch, and that is the contents of this box. And I believe this should be a simple process to build. So here we have the contents of the box. You will receive two modular boxes which both hold two 1 kilo spools, so 4 kilos in total, and you can store and dry these as well by purchasing more modular boxes. You have the main dryer unit, touchscreen, the power cable and 4 PTFE tubes, and also the instructions manual. So now let's prepare the modular box by removing these tapes that are holding the roller wheels. And then turning it over again, we will notice that there's some desiccants in the openings, but I'm unsure as whether these are just for transport and if I need to remove them. But I could only find one desiccant pack in one of the outlet ports. For me, I don't think that they're supposed to be there, but I'll look into that further later. As I said before, so taking a look at the bottom again, it's very simple to move these metal plates, and the metal plates positioning is key to what part of this you want to use. So right now in this particular location, we have turned this into a dried storage box, and you'll notice the locating pins on the actual modular box and on the heating unit itself is where you would locate it. So I'm going to move these metal plates back into place, and you'll notice the opening is there for the heat to flow through, and they're very simple to do. Just make sure that the latch is connected on the lid, otherwise it can fall, and you notice it just slips into place just like that. And that's exactly the same for the second box as well. And for the second box we just need to remove the tape like before, and then prepare it for it to be put into the drying state, and that is easy just by moving these metal plates into the correct location to reveal the air vent holes, and this is so that we can use the dry function on the unit itself. And once it's in its actual location using the locating pins, we are ready to go. Now a quick word from today's video sponsor. PCBWay are a PCB board manufacturer. They do PCB prototyping, PCB assembly, FPC and rigid flex, advanced PCBs, CNC and 3D printing services, and SMD stencils. If you have a project that you would like to create, check out their website. It's very easy to use and intuitive, and you can even reach out to their customer service team to ask for any support along the way. As you can see on screen, their technology is very advanced, and these types of technologies can bring all of your projects to reality. If it's something that you want to create, they can do it for you. And that is PCBWay. PCBWay is today's video sponsor, and I'm proud to have them as a channel sponsor too. Thanks again, PCBWay. Okay, so now that we've connected up the power cable and turned the unit on, the ChiTu logo appears on screen. You can select two different languages, and that is Chinese and English, but this only seems to be the two options. So each number at the top of the screen corresponds to what location, number 1 being the front and number 2 at the rear, and this corresponds to what dry box that you want to turn on, and they are both independent of each other, which I think is a really great feature if you only want to dry 2 filaments at once. So as you can see on screen, you have the current temperature and humidity levels, and you can't make any changes. This is only for visual representation. On the next page, you can update the actual temperature that you want it to be. Currently it's in Fahrenheit, and I will be changing this to Celsius, just that's how we monitor our temperatures in this country. You can also have some presets. So in the system settings, you can change it to Celsius as quickly as that. You can also have a screen off and change the actual time. The firmware update, I'm not quite sure how you can update that when it's not even connected to Wi-Fi, but I guess that's something that in the future they could optionally do. There's automatic drying, silent mode, and filament box automatic identification. Clicking the arrows, which once again I have a bit of difficulty with, gives you instructions on how to use this particular function. And I believe that automatic drying means that you can have it set to a preset and it comes on by itself. Once again, the firmware doesn't update by simply pressing it, so I'm not quite sure of this particular function. And on the next page, which is the system settings, you can change the language or reset to default, and also some manufacturer's information such as emails and contact details. And I think that's great if you want to reach out to them. So checking out the middle function, once again you can make changes on this screen and actually change the levels of temperature and the amount of time that you're drying. The actual screen is easy to use. Just touch this tick button and then you can make changes. But once again, I do have a lot of issues with trying to actually get a response from the screen, which is a little bit concerning. You can change the amount of time, but you do need to delete before you update anything else. So let's put in 1 hour for this particular test. On screen, it's currently giving me the humidity levels at 64%. But once again, you need to make sure you delete all the actual figures to enter in a new one. So I've entered in 45 degrees and an hour or 2 hours on drying. It also gives you recommendations for PLA, PETG, ABS, ASA, etc. But I noticed later on in the video that you can't actually use this to apply. This is only a guide for itself. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just do a quick test. So if you open up the lid and remove the box, it actually shuts the machine down. This is one of its safety features, and this is the same for box 1 and box 2 has that feature in place. So now what I want to do is an independent temperature check with this manual reader, and I want to make sure that what's on screen is actual representation of the temperature being blown out into the dryer box. We're going to do this test for 1 and 2. So now that this has been activated by pressing the play button, you'll notice the screen moved on there. It is quite sensitive when you put too much pressure on it. And basically you can do that for boxes 1 and 2. So now when I open up the lid, it will shut down the actual dryer. So we're just going to wait for the current temperature to go to 45 degrees for both units, and currently it's at 35 degrees. It does heat up relatively quick considering the temperature rise, and it's not too noisy. So we have reached temperature now, and I'm just going to pick up my reader, do an ambient test on the side, and then we'll open up the lid, but this will shut down the machine, so we're no longer getting an actual heat flow. And we're just going to read it inside, and we're getting sort of varied temperatures on the contacts, but roughly around 40 to 48, which isn't too bad considering the actual temperature is actually relative to the actual supplied temperature of 45 degrees. So just carrying out a final test, because obviously where I knocked the unit, it actually shut the machine down. With the machine running, we are getting about 45.1, and that is relative to the screen, which is 45. We're going to carry out the same test on box number 2 now, but as you can see, I gently knocked it and it's actually tripped it out. But let's just take a quick reading of the temperature inside. And once again, with me knocking the box, the actual unit shuts down. So we're getting a temperature of 47.6, which is an acceptable range. I just want to check the external unit to make sure the temperature is acceptable on the outside, and we're getting about 32 degrees, which isn't too bad. So in terms of contact, it shouldn't be a problem. So we're going to do some tests on PETG and PLA and some ASA. And with this, we do need to adjust the temperatures. So with the PLA, we can select the 45 degrees, which is on screen now, and then press play. It does give you recommendations, but as I said before, when you select those different ones, it doesn't actually manually adjust it. You still need to go in and change it yourself, which I'm not quite sure whether I'm doing something wrong, but I did read the paperwork and it didn't suggest anything otherwise. But as you can see in there, that's box number 1. Okay, so I just want to make sure that box number 1 is locked up so that it's sealed, and it's going to be running for just under 4 hours at 45 degrees. We'll come back and take a look at that. We want to do number 2 box now with some ASA. I haven't had this packaged away for over a year now, so it'll be interesting to see whether we get a good humidity level on that. But obviously we're going to have to adjust that temperature for box number 2. Once again, I'm going to go into the display and click on the ASA section and press apply. But as you can see on the screen now, it still hasn't updated it from the 45 degrees. So I'm really not sure what I'm doing wrong with that. I guess it's just a guide, but the fact that it says apply suggests to me that it would actually apply it to the next screen. So maybe I am doing something wrong. But we're going to run this for 4 hours, but we're going to need to manually adjust this. Once again, you need to delete the figures on the screen to remove the old figure of 45 degrees, and we're going to put in 50. And that's what we're going to do now. So as you can see from the screen for both bays 1 and 2, the humidity level has gone right down to 17%. So that just proves that these are working. The display on the actual tabs aren't really showing too much. It's not that clear, but it has done the job. In future videos I'll probably show some prints with this, but I just wanted to run through some of the final specs of this particular unit and what things you would expect to get going forward. So some of the specs: it is a single and dual drying chamber. It has a high heating efficiency and consistency and can go from 25 degrees to 55 degrees in just over 12 minutes, that's with 4 spools loaded, which is really good. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, you do have the expandable storage system, so you can buy additional boxes from ChiTu Systems on their website, so definitely check that out. They also have the auto regenerating desiccant connected to the heat flow outflow, regenerates automatically, so you don't need to replace. You also have the passive humidity indicators and a removable magnetic baffle seals, which is ideal for swapping over between storage and heating. And not to mention the 3.5 resistive touchscreen, which I did have some issues throughout this review of it being quite difficult, and the contact of it just seemed to have multiple touches to be able to work properly, but this could be just something that affects myself. The other cool features is the pressure sensor safety system and also the safety protection, so it has overheating and if it's tilted in any way, shape or form. As you can see now on screen, it's aesthetically pleasing as well. So now for a final recap.
That brings us to the end of this review on the ChiTu Systems FilaPartner E1 stackable box filament dryer. Now, you would have seen the unboxing, you would have seen me put it together, very simple, very easy to use. The touchscreen, I found it a little bit clicky. You have to touch a few times. It could be that I have a particular problem with touchscreens. I have it with a lot of different printers and filament dryers, so it could just be my particular fingers. We have these problems, I guess. But yes, there was a bit of a delay in some of the touch on it, but that was a very simple issue that I found throughout this review. But overall, the quality of it, the way that you can stack as well, I really like that idea. Also, when you open up the lid, it cuts out completely, so it's a safety mechanism. If the box was to fall off the heater unit, you're not getting hot air put out that could be potentially dangerous and cause fires. So it's got that emergency cutoff. I really like that feature. You can also program it to have a specific type of filament that you have. So you can put your own sort of settings in and it will remember that as well. The temperature ranges are suitable for most filaments. Obviously, the more exotic ones are going to need higher temperatures, and I think it goes up to 70 degrees, so that should cover that really. And the temperature time you can change as well, so it's really easy to use. I also really like the fact that the touchscreen can move. This 4.3 inch touchscreen can move. I really like the idea of that. So if you've got it all stacked up, you can direction it to you, and that makes it easier to actually use. The overall build quality I found was really, really good. And this particular price of this, we're going to leave on screen. It's a good price for what you're going to get. Once again, ChiTu Systems have been out for a long time, so they're going to give you some quality branding stuff, so really like that. And once again, thanks to PCB Way for sponsoring today's video, and thanks to ChiTu Systems for donating 2 kilos to the lucky winner that we're going to announce a little bit later on down the line. But make sure you follow the description on how to do that. You do need to subscribe, you do need to click like to this video, and you do need to leave a timestamp of when you saw the ChiTu System logo fly across the screen. It could be very quick, so keep an eye out on that. But overall, yep, stay with us for future videos. The next video coming up is the Prusa XL multi-tool head printer. Take care everyone, that's Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel.